Hey, it's me, Mug, and Gigantic is back, and that is great. I absolutely love the fact that you can go and play Gigantic, a game that originally came out in 2017 and then died about a year later. It's a fantastic game. It's a game that I absolutely adore, that is bright, fun, colorful, a third-person hero shooter, but with more MOBA elements than most hero shooters. It's great. You should play it, but also there's a lot of problems with it, and I am very disappointed by some of the things that this new re-release of the game has. So let's talk about it. I'm going to divide the video in two parts. You have the chapters below to skip to the warnings if you want to, but especially if you're new. Why should you play Gigantic? Well, as I said, it's awesome, but it's a 5v5 hero shooter with 25 heroes. Each of the 25 heroes fills in different roles, but each of the 5 skills that every hero has access to is very customizable. In the Clash game mode, which was the original way that the game was played way back when, as you level up, you get to choose which ability you level up, and when you level them up, you add different things to it, more or less transformative in each skill, but there is a lot of variety in how you can build out your character by the end when you reach level 10, as you select each of the branching paths of each of the skills to have completely different ways of playing the same character. So there is quite a lot of depth and strategy in a game that is also very rewarding as a skill game when it comes to things like aiming or reaction times and outsmarting your opponent and using terrain. It's just really good. They have introduced a new mode called Rush that is more fast-paced. You start at level 10, and you can customize your heroes, each of them to have exactly the fully decked-out build that you would like, and to save presets. And you can switch heroes at any time in Rush, well, from Respawn, and change the loadout, each of the different skill loadouts that you have chosen, in the middle of any match, and just play and have fun. Nice, quick, frenetic, very, very good time. And you are forced into playing Rush for about 3 hours before you unlock Clash, which is that more traditional MOBA experience where you level up throughout the match. It is overall excellent. It's a great time. It has fantastic movement. It's very unique in the way that it presents this sort of hero shooter vibe. One of the reasons the original Gigantic died is because people kept calling it a Overwatch clone. And it really isn't. You are building up points throughout the match to get what is essentially your base to attack the enemy base, and whoever takes down the enemy base first wins. And specifically in Clash, it has tower defense to it and map control, and in Rush, it has a lot of control point energy, but there is a lot of depth in the abilities in each hero and how you choose to build them out, and in the interactions of the game that really blend it to be a little bit less of the mechanically intensive side of Overwatch, you know, maybe like the hitting 6 headshots in a row type of thing, but trades a lot of that for more fast-paced, frenetic combo chaining with melee characters, very smart skill use of some of the other characters, including the ones that play more like a traditional third-person shooter. There is so much to love, and this is a game that you can jump into it, start to appreciate the depth of it and each of the characters, find a character you like, and experiment with all the different ways to build them out, and feel like it's going to take you hundreds of hours to master that character. And that is awesome. I love how good this game is, honestly, from top to bottom. It's not perfect. It's probably not balanced. I haven't really put in, 50 hours since the release like 24 hours ago of Clash to tell you how the balanced state of the game is or anything like that, but it is eminently enjoyable. There is no microtransactions in this game. This is not viewed as a live service, though it is going to have competitive ranked seasons, and we'll see about that. But no microtransactions means you just play the game, you have fun, you get rewards for playing, so you get currency and you get mastery, and both of those things unlock new skins and new weapon skins and new effects and things, but you can't pay for any of those. You actually have to earn them or earn the currency in-game to straight out buy whatever you want. And it's pretty sad that in 2024 we have to advertise a game with no microtransactions. But that is a valid advertisement, and that it does appeal to me. I do read no microtransactions and immediately like a game more. So if you have ever enjoyed any sort of MOBA plus something else type of blend, anything like Overwatch, I think you're going to have a great time with Gigantic, and I recommend it. But there's a lot of issues with it. Now, to get it out of the way, because it's 2024 and a game cannot release without being broken on launch day and having the servers absolutely collapse. That did happen. They seem to be fine now, but still, I don't care if it's something that we should expect or not. I don't like the idea that games on launch day have these sorts of issues. And as a big fan of Gigantic, although I am trying to keep my nostalgia-tinted glasses away from this because I do have a lot of stuff to criticize, but from the optimist in me, I would have preferred if the moment that the game was going to be the most in the spotlight wasn't marred by the same thing that most every game is now, and it is that frankly horrible launch issues, because it's not just that the game wasn't playable, that you couldn't actually get into a game or couldn't even get into the menu at some point. It's how janky that experience was. You could get 50 error messages stacked one on top of the other and either have to Alt F4, click individually through the 50 error messages, or mash escape. It wasn't clear when the game was actually working or not, because sometimes it would stack those 50 error messages or tell you that you can't play, but other times it would let you queue, it would tell you there was a match, and then it would tell you that a person declined and that you can't play because a person declined, but that nobody declined. It's just that the game was down. And other times, it would just work. So obviously we would think like, well, something's going on, but the game is working, meaning that everybody, I assume, was hammering the servers as well. So that pretty messy, pretty janky. But beyond that, because those issues exist there, launch day, hopefully they're forgotten about later. Again, still a big problem. Games shouldn't launch in states where they can't be played. But aside from all of that, there's just stuff about this game that is the same game from 2017 for better and worse. And I expected a bit more from this re-release. Now, there is new content. There are 2 new heroes and 2 new maps, along with that new game mode of Rush. So there has been effort put into some of these things. But from what I imagine are limitations when salvaging the original Gigantic, there's a lot of stuff here that is very old. Most of the menus, or at least parts of them, work in 30 frames per second in a way that's very jarring. The UI design and the menus in general do not feel very modern. And I'm not even talking about like their design itself, just like when you click on things, it kind of feels slow to react. The game is capped at 60 frames per second. And I don't want to get all PC elitist, because that's not me. I'm a big proponent for as many people as possible enjoying as many games as possible. But Gigantic is a game that would very much benefit from being higher than 60 frames per second. This is a very twitchy game. A game that was designed to be very competitive. There are flick shots, there are combos, there are cancels into other abilities. There's all sorts of things that the added reaction that you get from playing at 120 or higher frame rates would be very beneficial, and it would make a lot of the game, to me at least, a lot clearer. It's a game that could run on a toaster nowadays. It's just hard capped there, and it has that advantage that a lot of popular competitive games that have that competitive beating heart to them of that skill expression, where you benefit from that higher frame rate, are purposefully graphically simple or with very low requirements so that people can run them on any toaster, but also so that you can run them at the highest frame rate possible, because it does impact the feel of the gameplay and what you can or can't do with how you receive that information. And especially today, where consoles can play games at higher frame rates than 60 if you have the TV to support it, it would have been great for the game to not be capped at 60 FPS. From what I understand, because of how the game was built originally, there's no way to update it to work at higher frame rates, and that is just a shame. Similarly, there is no ultra-wide support. Now, not that many people use ultra-wide monitors, but I don't think that's reason enough to just discredit this criticism. I play on a super ultra-wide monitor. I am regularly used to games offering me only 21:9, which I would prefer if they offered 32:9, many games do. And it's disappointing that Gigantic, that would look and play so much better at higher frame rates and at 21:9, just cannot be done. I have to play it in 16:9. And if those are the sorts of things that bother you consistently, keep that in mind. Once you're in the game and you're playing it, because the game is so good, you kind of forget it. It's not going to end everything, but it is just a little reminder there all the time that it hasn't been modernized in the way that I would have liked to see it modernized. There's some technical bugs, some small glitches can occur, but then there's other design issues like how the game behaves if a person leaves a match. Either for a while it was putting in an invincible bot that broke the game, and then they just left you on a 4v5, and this is a game where now you're trapped in this lobby and you are going to lose a 4v5 99% of the time. That's how it works. I've heard people complain about how it deals with parties and moving with disconnects or with strange server issues, that hopefully, if that's all server issues, it'll be fixed soon. Also worth mentioning, some places don't have servers for the game, so like if you're in the Oceania region, I think that you just shouldn't buy the game, because I think that you're not going to get matches, and if you do, you're going to get very, very high ping. So that's an issue. But what I'm saying with the overall lack of polish or lack of bringing it up to standards, be that because of the limitations that the original game presented, or the budget, or whatever it might be, Gigantic Rampage Edition feels like they just wanted to bring it back, and they did what they had to bring it back. And as a game very beloved by its community, it's going to receive the support. It's going to have people like me playing it and enjoying it, but it doesn't feel like a big, shiny product that even as a budget game is up to the standards of what we would expect today. It's great that it doesn't have microtransactions, but I get the feeling that it's being sold as a product instead of being brought back as a live service and a free-to-play offering and trying to be revived that way, because they're using the bones of this game that just cannot hold up to anything close to modern standards. And that means that you're going to be playing a game that is a breath of fresh air. It's incredibly fun, but it's a multiplayer game you buy. You're going to play while the community is alive and well, and then you're going to move on. And they seem very aware of this. There doesn't seem to really be an intention of going deeper and putting in more work to make it feel modern in case there's going to be more updates or more content or more stuff down the line to really bring Gigantic back. It's more Gigantic is here again for a little while. And I'm definitely going to enjoy that little while or longer while, hopefully, because I think that the bones of this game, the concept of this game, the characters, the movement, the art style, and the feeling you get when you're playing it are all excellent. But I can't help but feel disappointed by that lack of modernization, that lack of being polished up to bring it out as a game that charges you $15 today. And I think that especially it's just a lot of things that are going to have people play it and not commit to it or not keep coming back to it, or people not pick it up, because it does feel a lot like a game that, hey, we have it here, we can bring it back, it'll probably make money by doing that, so why don't we do it? And then they did that, and then that's it. Be aware of that. Be aware of the issues that the game has. Be aware of the limitations, that 60 FPS cap, the ultra wide, some of the general jank in menus and stuff like that, if you're a person that's going to be bothered by it. But overall, if I can recommend anything, it's, while it's here, if this is something that speaks to you, enjoy it. And that is what I'm doing. That's my review of Gigantic, and that's also me doing my part in spreading the word, so that people get to experience a game that is really, really good in my opinion. I've been Mugthief. Thank you so much for watching. If you want more of my opinions on all sorts of games and things, got some interesting videos coming up, remember to subscribe. We are almost at 25,000, which is bananas, but I greatly appreciate it, just like I appreciate my patrons over at the $1 club. There's only one tier, $1. Gets you up on the wall, gets you a shout out at the end of the longer videos on the channel. Link is in the description below. And as always, I'll see you again very soon.